I want you to know why don't we live with you?
All right, hello everyone. Can you all still hear my music? Yes, we can. All right, I will figure out how to get that turned off. I'm going to do that real quick and I'll be right back with you all. There we go. And now we're out of it. All right. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of intro music. Thank you all for being here. Welcome, students, parents, family members, and guests. Welcome to the University of Mary Washington. We are so excited for you to join us for tonight's session, introducing you to what to expect at orientation. If you would like to turn on captions, there is a closed captions button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We are in the webinar mode of Zoom, so unless you're a panelist, you're automatically muted and your video is off. The webinar is set up as a presentation with a live Q&A function. Now, we might answer your question during the presentation, but feel free to add it in the Q&A box whenever the mood strikes you. If someone asks a question in the Q&A box and you have the same question, you have the ability to upvote them by liking that question. Upvoted questions will bring them to the top. We are also recording this session for later viewing, so if you miss something, it'll be available on the admissions YouTube channel as soon as possible. Right now, we're going to get started by introductions. So our orientation leadership team, take it away, introduce yourselves.
I will start. I am Dean Melissa Jones. I'm the Associate Vice President of Student Affairs and the Dean of Students here at Mary Washington, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm going to pass it on to Colin.
Hi, everyone. My name is Colin Binkley. I'm a graduate student intern here with New Student Programs, and I'll pass it over to Jess.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jess. I am an intern here for the summer, working with orientation. And I will pass it to Revi.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I figured out where the mute button is there. My name is Revi. I use they, them pronouns. I'm one of the senior student coordinators for New Student Programs this year. I'm very excited to be answering you all's questions.
I guess I will go next. Hi, I am Jalen Long. I am also a senior student coordinator here, and I use she, her pronouns. I will pass it off to Sarah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Limburg. I'm the Director of First Year Admissions at Mary Washington, here just to support our wonderful team at New Student Programs from the admissions end of things. So thanks for being here tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you, team. This is the team that has been putting in a ton of work in the background, making things happen for you. So we're really excited that they can be here tonight. Most of this group is going to mute their screens, so you won't be able to see them, but they'll be working diligently to answer your questions behind the scenes as you add them to the Q&A. So now that our housekeeping is out of the way, let's get started. I just realized I haven't introduced myself, so I'll do that first. Hi, everyone. My name is Lily. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Assistant Director for New Student Programs, which means that I help oversee the orientation program, which is why I'm here tonight and kind of your MC for the evening. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started with a screen share, and we will go through our presentation. Wonderful. All right, so a little bit of what's in store for the evening. First of all, we're going to talk a little bit about orientation, kind of what the purpose is, why we bring you all to campus, things like that. A little bit about what to expect from your orientation, you know, nuts and bolts, but also some bigger picture things. We're going to talk you through how to prepare for your orientation, what to bring, what to pack, some information on parking and your check-in process, as well as an overview of the schedule for orientation, and then a few of your next steps that you'll hear about more at orientation, but we want to give you a heads up on now. And I'm going to throw it over to Dean Melissa Jones to talk to us a little bit about orientation.
Thank you, Lily. Just so you're all aware, Lily and I are going to move back and forth. So you're not hearing one voice all the time. But she and I have been working on orientation, and Lily is an outstanding leader. And so I'm excited to have her in this space leading this team. So a little bit about orientation. It is different from Destination UMW. Many of you may have come to Destination UMW in March and in April, and we get this question all the time. How is this different for students? How is this different for guests? So for orientation, we have very specific student and guest programming tracks. We also had that, we saw a little bit about that at Destination UMW. But one of the things that we're going to do is help you get acquainted with campus resources if you are a student and or if you are a parent, family member, or guest. You might interface with these resources a little bit differently depending on whether or not you identify as a student, you're coming in and you are the new student, or if you are supporting the new student. And so we want to let you know how you access those resources, what to expect. We also want to make sure that you can create some connections with other new Eagles. And that's also whether you're a student or if you're a parent or family member or guest. Those connections are really important, and they are critical as you move through your time here at Mary Washington. One of the things that you will find about your time here at Mary Washington is that we are very relationship based rather than being transactional. Certainly there are transactions, but we really prioritize those relationships. And so for our students, one of the things that you'll do is you'll be put into a smaller group of folks. You'll meet an orientation leader. They've been training for a very long time. And we'll tell you all about a little bit about what to expect with respect to that. So you're going to start meeting some new Eagles. For our parents, families, and guests, you will start to understand, and we'll walk you through very specifically what the students' summer looks like, what you can expect from their onboarding, what tasks they need to complete, what tasks you need to complete. So we're going to talk through that very, very specifically in orientation. When we get to the schedule overview, that will probably make a little bit more sense. And so orientation is really a place where you can start to navigate next steps to get ready for fall, to know what to expect. So it's a little bit different from Destination UMW in that way. And it's designed very intentionally with respect to that. So another thing about what to expect is our program itself is a 2-day overnight program. And Lily, if you can advance the slide to the next one, thank you. It is a 2-day overnight experience for every student, regardless of whether that's where that student is living in the fall. So if you are a student who is residing off campus, whether that be at home or in town in the fall, this is still a 2-day overnight on-campus experience for you. That is by design because we want you to make those connections. That our programming goes into the evening. And again, that is specifically by design for students. We do ask that you check in by 8:30, 8:45-ish. That'll make it a little bit easier for you. And the programming will end on day 2 at noon, though there are some optional programs that we offer just after that noon time. So it's really a day and a half that you can expect to be here on campus if you are a student. I know that many of you submitted some questions when you registered. And so we're going to try to field some of those as well and answer some of those. And so one of the things was about food. And so on our next slide, we talked a little bit about what can I expect for food. So on day 1, we have a light breakfast. And so there'll be some scones, that type of thing available for you. Lots of coffee. There's lots of coffee. Just so everyone is aware. Lunch and dinner are provided on day 1, and that is for students as well as for guests. And so we want to make sure that you know that. So on day 2, guests, you'll have a continental breakfast available to you for your session. That's provided students. You'll have a full breakfast with a student panel. And again, all of this will make a little bit more sense as we go over the schedule for you. But I know that that was a question. And so we wanted to make sure that we put it out there front and center for you. Another question that we've had about is about preparing for orientation. And so one of the things for guests, if you are coming, one of the things that you can do is make overnight accommodations for yourself. If you don't live within driving distance, there are lots of hotels that are very close to campus. We do only provide that overnight housing for our student population. And so if that's something that you're interested in, that's a great way to prepare for that. You also should know that there are a lot of UMW offices that are going to be open during regular business hours. Our orientation does take place on weekdays. And so the university is open for business as usual. And so there is time, particularly after that day 2 session, we end our prescribed programming at noon. And so all of those offices will be available for you to be able to plug into and take advantage of. And so know that those offices will be open and available for you. Students, one of the things that you can do is to make sure you know your net ID and have your password. So that is actually going to be something that is critical for you your entire time at Mary Washington. So it just kind of starts right now. Your net ID is the same thing that you do to log into your email or to log into to register for orientation. That password does reset just like everybody else. We make sure that you have to change your password. And so if you have forgotten your password, for your email, your single sign-on, that's what it's called here, a single sign-on. You can contact the help desk ahead of time. They will help you do a reset of that. One of the reasons that you need to have your net ID and your password is that you're going to be getting into some of our systems and looking at your schedule. You're going to get a sneak peek of some things. And so we want you to be able to access that. So a good thing to do prior to your arrival is just do a double check that you know what your net ID is, you know what your password is. If you're finding you have some trouble with that or don't know where to start, feel free to email us at orientation@umw.edu. We're happy to help you there. I'm also going to tell you that you can go ahead and get in the habit of checking your UMW email account. That is the official way that UMW communicates with students. And so up until now, things have probably come to your personal email as well as your UMW email. As you move through orientation, that's really going to be targeted to your UMW email. And so get in the habit right now of checking that UMW email account and making sure that you are keeping up with what's happening there.
Awesome. So next we're going to talk a little bit about what to pack for orientation, what you might want to bring to feel prepared and comfortable. And this should look familiar. It goes right along with the email that we sent earlier with more information about what to bring and how to prepare. The first thing at the top of this list is linens. This is very important. The room will be furnished, but will not have blankets, pillow sheets, things like that on the bed. So you'll want to make sure to bring those things. Towels. I will say that orientation students will be staying in Virginia Hall and Willard Hall over their overnight stay with us, and that is a hall style bathroom, which means that it is shared among multiple rooms, and so bring anything that you need to feel comfortable, shower shoes, anything like that. Please bring comfortable clothing and shoes for programming. It is a decent amount of walking and moving around the campus, so I would say bring something that you feel comfortable walking in for day 1 and day 2. You will have time to change in the afternoon if you would like to. No pressure to, not everybody does. But for our evening programming, and once we get into our schedule overview, you'll see that some of the activities are a little bit more active. So we wanted to give you the heads up that if you want to change, you might want to bring something to change into. Please bring any toiletries that you need to feel comfortable for an overnight session. It is the summertime, and so therefore it is going to be hot. Sunscreen is a maybe. Probably a must. Rain boots are a maybe, depending on the weather. Definitely check the weather before you come. It is Virginia in the summer, so you could need both of those in one day. If you are looking to get your Eagle One photo ID for campus, you will need to bring a driver's license or a government ID, and you will have multiple opportunities to get that throughout your orientation session, either in the morning when you first get here, in the afternoon during concurrent sessions, which again, you'll see during the schedule overview, or after we're done with programming on day 2, all of those campus offices will still be open and you can go get it then as well. And then the last thing to bring is a good attitude and an open mind. So we're excited to have you. And we hope you're excited to hang out with us for a little bit. So you're all packed, you're ready to go, and now you're coming to UMW in the morning of your orientation, and your next question is, where do I park? So on day 1, students and guests will come to the George Washington parking lot. Whether you are riding with a guest, or if you are driving yourself, you will come to the George Washington parking lot no matter what. If you need help getting directions to this, type double drive into your GPS. That is the best way to find us via Google Maps or Waze, or any Apple Maps, anything like that. And we will have some folks from Campus PD there to direct you to the parking lot. You can also view the map online to be able to find it that way. And that is where students will stay if you drive yourself overnight. Guests, you will leave campus for the evening, and when you come back in the morning, you will park in a different location. Your parking for day 2 will be given at orientation, and so we will give you more information there about where to park on day 2s.
So again, thinking about back to some of the questions that were asked at the when you registered for this webinar, we wanted to make sure that we highlighted some of the pieces around student and guest check-in to make things a little bit clearer, easier for you. Check-in starts at 7:30. That does not mean that you have to be here right at 7:30. The welcome session doesn't actually start until 9 o'clock. But give yourself a little bit of time, whatever that feels like for you, particularly depending on where you're coming from. So know that that's a window to be able to get here and get settled. You'll come to Willard Hall. There'll be lots of signs once you park your car, and folks to greet you to make sure that you know where you're going. When you park, if you are a student, go ahead and bring your linens, the towels, sheets, blankets, whatever that you feel like you need. Go ahead and bring that to check-in. Once you check in, you will get a room assignment, and you can go right to that room. We're going to be using Willard Hall and Virginia Halls. They are right here together. And so you're going to be able to go to that room and put your things down. So go ahead and bring those things with you to check in. If there is someone that you know that you want to room with, go ahead and check in together. That might mean that one of you gets here first and the next one gets here in 10 minutes. That person who gets here first, just wait the 10 minutes. And when you check in together, then we can put you in the same room together. If you don't have somebody that you want to room with, one of the things that we do, it's only for one night. So we place you with someone that I know one of the questions that we usually get is, am I rooming with the roommate that I'll have for the year? You're not, because we don't even have those yet. But then you would have had to coordinate what session to sign up for, all of those things. Nobody needs that. And so one of the things that we do is when you check in, you get roomed with the person who checks in close to when you're checking in. And so you'll be able to go to the room, sit your things down, and have someone, whoever you're rooming with for the evening there. That has worked very, very well over the past 10 years that we have been doing this. So we know it's a system that works. But if you know there's somebody that you want to room with, if your roommate's coming to the same session that you are, or somebody who you just met on Zeme and you just really want to see them in person and hang out with them, totally come and just check in together, and we'll get you into the same room with each other.
So now we're going to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty. We're going to give you all an overview of the schedule, just so you have a little bit of an idea of what to expect. And this version of the schedule that we are about to show you is the one that you will receive at orientation when you come and check in, and it will be available on the website by the end of this week for everyone to reference back to. So, as Dean Jones has talked us through, after you arrive at Double Drive and you park in the George Washington Hall parking lot, students and their guests will head to Willard Hall for check-in. And then from there, we'll head to Dodd Auditorium, which is located in George Washington Hall, back over by where you park, for a welcome and a schedule overview. You will be welcomed by many folks on campus who are very excited to meet you, including our vice president, our president, and just some folks that are really excited to have you on campus. After that, you'll get a talk called The Partnership Begins, about the partnership between guests and students in the transition to college. And then students will go ahead and leave for a little bit of time, and guests will stay in place. So the students will head out and actually meet up with their orientation leader for the first time that day. And an orientation leader is an upper class student who is trained and very excited to help welcome new students to campus and help them through their transition. They will act as a guide throughout the day to get students from point A to point B and answer any questions they have along the way. So students will meet their orientation leader that time. Orientation leaders will walk students down to what's called a success workshop, which is a 30-minute session just on some things that you might want to know about going into college, but it's set up kind of seminar style to engage you and get you ready for what college classes might be like. So we have some options here, which you're free to read through, and students will be placed in those sessions and go to 2 of them. At the same time, guests will be in sessions called A Step Ahead, which is a little bit more about the partnership between students and their guests in the transition to college, and then a presentation on campus safety. And at that point, everyone will go to lunch. Students will continue with their orientation leader for lunch in the Chandler Ballroom of the Cedric Rucker University Center, while their guests will go to lunch on the top floor of the same building. So guests, you will get a little bit of a sneak preview of what the dining hall is like before your student even gets to go. Students, after lunch, you will head to some breakout locations with your orientation leader and talk through some of the pieces of summer homework, which are just some things that we ask you to do over the summer to be ready to come back in August for your first day of classes. And we will talk you through that extensively during the orientation program. And then students will head back to Dodd Auditorium to rejoin with their guests. Guests at the same time after lunch will head straight back to Dodd Auditorium and have a little bit more information on the Partnership Continues, which will include some information on that summer homework that students are getting. Guests will be getting it at the same time, along with a few extra steps for guests, some summer homework just for the guests. After that, once students and guests are back together, there will be a talk on academic expectations, and then that is the end of all of your time in Dodd Auditorium for that day. And then we will break off again, but this time, instead of by students and guests, we will break off into residential students and on-campus students. Residential students will stay in Dodd and have a talk from residence life. Off-campus students will travel to Lee Hall and have a talk from our off-campus student services, Chris Porter. And then there will be a little bit of a break and we'll jump into concurrent sessions. And concurrent sessions are kind of a choose your own adventure. It's the more free afternoon where you can go take care of the business you need to, but also we will have tons of options of programs and sessions by offices that you can go talk to and get information from. So we'll have some sessions that are available during all of these concurrent sessions, including a session called Soaring Through Your Finances, where you can go talk specifically about your financial record and your financial account with some folks from Student Accounts and Financial Aid, and that will be happening in Panera Bread. I know it feels kind of silly, but our Panera Bread is in our Cedric Rucker University Center and is the space that they'll be set up in over the summer. You can talk to a representative from University Dining. You can stop by the campus bookstore. And again, those same open office hours, those 8 to 5 open office hours through the summer. Some of our sessions include a session called Getting Involved with Athletics and how to get involved in the Blue Crew. I won't say too much. I'll let them talk about it. A session about supporting student mental health. Sessions on study abroad, how to get involved with student activities and engagement, clubs and organizations. College of Business, College of Education, pre-health, And these sessions work in rounds. And so you will have the opportunity to go to multiple rounds if you would like. So as you can see, round 1 is from 3:15 to 3:45. Round 2 is from 3:55 to 4:25. And round 3 is from 4:35 to 5:05. So students and their guests can stay together if they want to. You can choose to kind of divide and conquer. I'm going to go to College of Education while my mom goes to Bree Health so that we can get the information on both and then compare notes later. You all can treat this however you want to, but we'll also have options from leveraging your peer support centers, the GI Bill for those who take advantage of that, also disability resources, and finding your place through specialty programs. After that, students and guests will head to dinner from 5:15 to 6:15 in the Cedric Rucker University Center. And that is when guests will say goodbye to their students for the evening. And I will turn it over to Melissa to talk us through the rest of the schedule.
Right. So now that we've gotten to the evening part of the schedule, and just some highlights, and I saw that we've had some requests to slow down just a little bit because people are trying to take it all in. So we totally understand that. You'll note what Lily had indicated was at 10 o'clock, your student is separate from the guest. And then around 2, everybody rejoins. And so we've got several hours that the students are off kind of doing their thing. And then the guests are off doing their thing. You come back together to be able to find out a little bit more about life at UMW, and then go into those concurrent sessions. You will be able to have that dinner together. But then once again, students are going to peel off and go their own way for the evening. And I'm going to start with the student. Actually, I'll start with the guest piece, because guests, you have one more thing, and that's optional if you want to take advantage of it. You'll be having dinner at the top of the CRUC. That is where our dining hall is. And adjacent to that is a guest reception on the 4th floor there. It's right off of the dining hall, and that will feature some of the president's cabinet folks and administrators, etc. If you want to stick around, you certainly can for that. Some people do, some people don't, and some guests just want to peel off, and that's perfectly fine. So that's the last thing that happens on day 1 for guests. For students, you will then go into what we call UMW Live. And I will tell you that when we have polled students, it is their favorite part of orientation. It is essentially the time, the part of the program that was created explicitly for students by students. And so we are going into some pieces of learning about what's happening inside the classroom. What are some of your resources? How do you get involved? How am I going to make good decisions at college? Those pieces were designed specifically for students transitioning into college by our students who have walked that path before. Following that, we will talk a little bit more about staying connected with each other. What are the expectations of being residents for the evening? And then you really will start to choose your own adventure. We've got a lot of things happening for that evening. There are board games, there's puzzles. Our esports lounge will be arena will be open. There's bingo. Bingo's a thing. Bingo's a thing here, y'all. And so you'll start to learn. You'll get to play your first UMW bingo. You can win prizes. Lots of fun things that happen that night. So it's kind of like one big party with all your new friends, with all your new friends. After that, we reconvene as a collective. We'll have some pizza, and then our students will go to be able to back to the residence hall, be able to kind of rest, relax, that type of things. And you'll get your t-shirt for that you get through orientation. And so it's a lot of fun. Our students absolutely love UMW Live. It is so much fun. We're going to move into day 2. And so day 2 is student schedule. You're going to start bright and early because you got to check out of the residence hall. But you'll be able to bring your luggage here to the CRUC. That's where you're going to start your morning anyway at breakfast. And so you drop it off and you can pick it up later. So you don't have to haul it with you all day long. You'll just drop it off here and be able to, again, start your day. We're gonna have a full breakfast for you all with a student panel. They have, again, lots of students have some advice for you, but you're going to be able to ask your own questions. And this is going to be a safe space to be able to ask your own questions of current students, the things that you want to get answered. We will then have a session called Academics and You, Getting Ready for Your First Semester. So this is the part where you'll start to get connected with our director of the first year experience and start to understand what kind of classes that I'm looking at are on my schedule, because you'll have your schedule by that time. Students will get their schedule by the end of this week. And so you'll start to be able to take a peek at that. What does this mean? What do these classes even mean? So they're going to help you do a deep dive into that. You'll be able to explore some different interests with our current faculty who will be in that space as well. And so that's a really exciting time for that. You'll wrap up with your OL group and then you'll catch up with guests. Now I'm going to stop and move to the guest schedule. Guests, you'll join us for a continental breakfast. You're going to have a campus resource fair. There are usually about 20 departments and areas who want to connect with you, and they'll be available for you. And then we're going to have a session on first year fundamentals. You're going to get an overview of the Dean of Students office, how you can access the resources that are available if you're at all concerned about your students. What is the process to request information about your students? You're going to talk to the director of our Tally Center for Counseling Services. What kind of mental health resources are available for your student? The Student Health Center is going to talk to you a little bit more about how does your student access some of these things and what types of things are available. I will tell you that your student will have already gotten some of that information. Some of those folks are going to come talk to them on day one during lunch. This is an opportunity for you to start to understand how we're supporting your student and how you can help your student to access some of those things. You will also have your own student panel so that you can ask your questions when your student is not in the room. So all those questions that your student might not let you ask if you are sitting beside them, you can ask those questions of our current student panel as well. We are going to talk a little bit about your students' behavioral expectations, and then we will talk explicitly about your next steps, what to expect and navigating your relationship with your students, what your students' first semester is likely going to look like. What are some of the things that you can encourage your student to do in terms of being supportive? So we're over the course of this day and a half for our parents and guests, we are also going to be deep diving for you into what your students' onboarding and transition, what that first semester looks like, and then a little bit more of what does time at Mary Washington look like, and what does life after Mary Washington look like, which sometimes our guests and parents have a little bit more bandwidth to think about life after Mary Washington. Your students probably can't do that right now, and that's perfectly fine. Following that, students and guests reconnect right at noon. If you would like a guided housing and residence life tour of your building, you can get that between 12:15 and 1:15. Those will be available. Usually the questions we get here, will I be able to see my room? Probably not. Those buildings are either being prepared for the fall or might be housing a summer conference. And so we might not be able to show you your exact room, but we will show you a room, the standard room in that building. So please feel free to take advantage of that. Another question that we usually will get, we don't have all the information about this, but I will tell you that by the time you get to orientation, will you know where you live or where you're assigned? The answer to that is yes. And so by the time you get to orientation, because it starts next week, which means that this week you're going to be finding out where you're going to be living. So you'll be able to get in there. We do ask that you pick up your luggage by 1:30 p.m. We are absolutely offering financial aid, student accounts, drop-in hours, and then our Office of Disability Resources will have drop-in hours. Those are two high traffic areas. People tend to have a lot of questions and want to speak specifically about their own accounts or their own accommodations that they need. So those office will be expecting drop-ins on that day too, to make sure that, again, you have what you need. So that's again a snapshot of the orientation schedule, what to expect. You don't need to remember any of this except the check-in piece. We will walk you through every piece of this on the day of. You'll have a ton of folks who will be here to support you, and hope you move through everything. Wow, that was funny. It felt like Harry Styles was going to be a part of this. So
I'm not sure where that's coming from. I'm so sorry, everyone.
everyone's excited about orientation, including Harry Styles. Everybody.
Harry is very excited.
Very excited.
That is hilarious. All right. Let's hope that Harry doesn't make a comeback yet. But oh, there he is again. All right, let me figure that out really quick. I'm so sorry, everyone. Oh, he's gone. Okay. Let me just really quickly, Dean Jones, if you want to go ahead and take the slide, I'm gonna figure that out.
Wait. So after orientation, because it doesn't end at orientation. Orientation is really the start of the conversation with our current students over the course of the summer. And so after orientation, there are a couple of pieces that you can expect. There's an orientation group meet. And so your orientation leader, if you're a student, your orientation leader is going to put you into a group meet so that you can communicate while you're here and for the rest of the summer. Again, this is a lot to remember. And so we absolutely don't expect you to be able to commit it all to memory. So that orientation leader that you have is not just your orientation leader for the time that you're here, they're your orientation leader for the rest of the summer. So when you have questions or concerns or anything like that, you can just drop those into the group meet. That orientation leader is going to be checking it all summer, checking in with you all summer. And your small group of folks who you share that orientation with will all remain connected over the course of the rest of the summer. Did you want to pick up the next bullet, or well, I'll just get through this slide because I think I just went into the next slide by accident. Y'all, if you let me talk and give me the floor, I'll talk the entire time. So sorry. Lily will also tell you a little bit about the Canvas page that is available to students. That'll make a little bit more sense when Lily gets to that. We also have July advising. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then new student welcome, which we're really, really excited about. So I'll popcorn it off to you, Lily.
Thank you very much. And like Dean Jones said, we'll get into each of these things on that previous slide. But I think the biggest thing that we want to do after orientation is to maintain connections. Connections are the absolute biggest goal of our program. We want to make sure that you're getting the information. We want to make sure that you feel set up and you have what you need to go into your first day of classes and to get through the rest of the summer. But the biggest thing for us is that you make a few connections so that you feel like when you come back in August, I know a few people. There are going to be a few people around that I can see, and maybe I don't know a whole lot about you, but I know your name. I remember you from orientation. And so we're going to try to maintain those connections throughout the summer for students and guests. For students, that will be done via a group meet, as Dean Jones just explained. And again, to reiterate, please feel free to use that group meet all summer. Your orientation leader will be sending you periodic little, hey, send me a meme check-in, things like that. We do throughout the whole summer. And then guests will be able to continue engaging in the Eagle Family Connection page. And so many of you are probably already in this on the admission side. You will be migrated over to the parents of current families side because your student will be a current UMW student. And so you'll be able to continue engaging in there, seeing all types of content about things happening around campus, reminders, things like that. And we continually update that all summer and into the semester as well. Right, and I can talk a little bit about Canvas, and then pass it off to Dean Jones to finish us up with Canvas. But our student leadership has been working really hard to prepare this Canvas for the incoming class of first year and transfer students. And so after orientation, students will be added to a Canvas course that will, one, have their summer homework. So it'll have students at orientation as well as guests will get like a printout of their summer homework. So you all can have it in front of you, see it, read through it, but you can also reference it digitally on the Canvas course after orientation. And it will have a lot of hyperlinks and things like that in it to just make it easier for you all to navigate your summer homework. The other important thing that's going to be on this Canvas page is all of the presentations that happen at orientation. So if you are, say, in a session about study abroad and you're like, oh my goodness, I missed that thing that they just said, but I know it was on the slide, you can reference back in this Canvas course later in July. We will have everything loaded into there for you to go back and view. Is probably the most important thing that's going to be on there besides your summer homework. Dean Jones, anything about Canvas to add?
I think the only thing that I will add is I'll take a step back just a second and let you know that Canvas is our academic software here on campus. And so you may have interfaced with something like Canvas or Blackboard, depending what your experience is, but that's the software that we use. And so students, when you interface with Canvas, it's going to be something that you're going to see with your classes, etc. So like your syllabi might be on campus, on Canvas. And so your orientation leader is going to talk you through these pieces when you're here. So again, part of what's a really critical piece, we're giving you an overview today. We're going to get down and dirty into the details of it when you get here for orientation. Just really quickly, one of the things that we do at orientation is we start to, and with that Canvas page, is we start to set you up for success with July advising. So after orientation, advising will occur. It's a one-on-one advising session with with an advisor who's going to talk you through some of those schedule pieces. So just to give you a little bit of a 30,000 foot view of how did we arrive at the things that are on my schedule. Way back when you deposited, you filled out a questionnaire, and that was the first year questionnaire. And so we took the information out of that academic services, took that information and built you a schedule. And maybe some of it fits, maybe some of it, maybe you don't even remember what you put in on the first year questionnaire. And so they took that, they built a schedule. So every one of you will have a schedule upon your arrival here at orientation. In July, you get an opportunity to really get into the nuts and bolts of that schedule. And your advisor will talk to you about some potential schedule changes if that's a thing that you feel like you want to do. Nobody can change their schedule until after all the advising is complete. So you don't need to stress out about schedule changes. Those won't be open until August, but you're going to get all of the meat and potatoes of that when you get here for orientation, and that sets you up for success with July advising. And then you will be able to do some schedule change after you talk one-on-one with an advisor. So it's a pretty customized experience with respect to what it is you want to do. You don't need to bring a laptop. You don't need to bring a computer with you to orientation. We'll actually have a printout of your schedule for you for that July advising, but we do want you to have your net ID and your password because you can get into Banner to look at those things on your phone if that's something that you want to do. But you don't need to bring a whole lot of stuff with you to be able to access that. And then following that, Lily, do you want to, we can kind of tag team this.
Yeah, absolutely.
New student welcome happens in August, and we're very, very excited about this. Doesn't matter if you live on campus, if you live off campus, that move-in day of August 23rd, that is when new student welcome starts. And our program is designed to set you up for success for that first semester. And so everybody participates in that, and so mark your calendars accordingly. I'd like to make sure that everybody is clear on it. This is not a residential program. This is for students who live off campus and who live on campus. Move-in day is Wednesday, August 23rd. And we will start our programming pretty immediately. Your first couple of meetings with the folks that you're going to have class with, the folks that you're living with, if you're residential, those are going to start the night of the 23rd. And so that schedule will be posted specifically after orientation. But we want to make sure that you're marking your calendars. Lily, do you have anything to
Just
add?
that new student welcome is the best time of year. It is so fun. And it is really built with the intentions of getting you what you need for your first few days of classes, to show you around campus, to get you acclimated, but also, again, to make you some connections, because we know how important that is.
I was looking at this picture and laughing because that is absolutely a new student, absolutely a new student welcome, and it's just a lot of fun. And so I'll go ahead and answer this question that's in the chat right now. Move-in day for Honors College students. Honors College students are participating in the pre-arrival program, City as Text. And so City as Text, I believe that move-in is, look at my little calendar over here. I know, where's my calendar? You have it right there?
Yes, I do. City as Text move-in will be Saturday, August 19th.
Okay. So that is when those students will need to come in and start with that program. If you're participating in Nest, Nest move-in is also Saturday, August 19th. And so those are two separate programs, but that's when those folks move in. The folks who run City as Text and the folks who run Nest will be communicating specifically with people who are in those programs. And so again, that is where it's going to be really critical to keep an eye on your UMW email, because that is the way they're going to communicate with you.
So speaking of communication, here are some ways to keep in touch with us before and after your orientation session. The first of which is our email, orientation@umw.edu. Feel free to write this down and email us either if you have questions about your orientation experience, or after if you have questions about orientation, new student welcome, anything within the realm of transition, new student programs. We have student staff who check this daily. And so we will be getting back to you if you ask us any questions here. Our Instagram is @UMWNSP, that stands for University of Mary Washington New Student Programs. And it is just a silly little Instagram account where we post fun pictures of the orientation leaders doing fun things. There will be some information on there, but this account is mostly for fun, just to keep up with us. Important information will always come via email and other methods, because we know not everyone's on social media. But if you are on social media, we highly encourage you to follow us, because it is a fun time over there. And then the last of these is our website, which is just orientation.umw.edu, where you can find things like the schedule, which will go up by the end of this week, the packing list that we sent out today, other information like that. This is your best bet for finding this information. And if there's anything that you can't find on that website, you can just email us at the email at the top of this page.
So that's what we have for you. You feel free to drop any more questions that you have into that chat. Hopefully we answered a fair amount of your questions. And I know that this will be available. We're happy to answer any other questions live, or anything else that is of concern, anything that you want to talk about. I get all kinds of questions during this. One of the things I can tell you, a question that tends to come up is, do I need a special computer for, so I just feel like I need, Sarah, do you want to answer that? Because I see you.
No, no. No, there are recommendations on our IT help desk website of the types of computer that you should have. I will say we get a lot of questions about a Chromebook. Chromebooks are not suggested because of the amount that you will be using your laptop. So we are a dual platform campus. So if you have issues with your computer, whether you are a PC user or a Mac user, you can go either way. And the help desk will be able to help assist you with certain things on with issues that run into with your computer. If you're majoring in computer science, they have suggestions for you there too, because there may be software and things that you need to download. But all of that information is available on the IT help desk website for new students. And Dean Jones mentioned this, and I can't reiterate it enough. When it comes to your UMW email address, the email address and email password. So the NetID password expires every 45 days. So if you are not logging in regularly to your UMW email account, you may miss that 10-day alert that your password expires in 10 days. So it is important that you guys all start checking your UMW email. Admissions will continue to communicate with both, as well as your support system at home that you've listed on your application. But other offices and departments are going to only start reaching out to your UMW email. So you need to get into that habit of checking your UMW email.
And I'll say our help desk is great. I missed the window and I forgot to change my password. And so I had to call them and they reset everything for me. And it was great. And so they're very, very easy to get in contact with and very helpful. I know that Jalen is answering a question in the chat right now, but just a piece to clarify. The question is, well, wait, so students don't make their own schedule, like putting the time that they want. So your schedule is already built for you, but you can make changes. So based on what you submitted in your first year questionnaire, Academic Services took that information and built you a schedule so that you didn't have to put it all together by yourself and try to navigate the entire thing by yourself. And so you start with a schedule that you can then change to suit your needs. Everyone will have to go through advising, so we do advising in July so that you will have met with your advisor. And then in the beginning of August, everybody will be able to make schedule changes if that's something that they want to do. One of the things that you will learn during the session for day 2, specifically Dr. Nguyen, who is the director of the first year experience, as well as she partners with Academic Services. And she's going to teach you what things count. Pro tip, everything counts towards things that are required for you. So everything on that schedule that you have will count in some way, shape, or form toward the requirements that you need to complete your degree. But she's also going to talk to you and show you how to start tracking that yourself. And so you're going to get that information in day 2 of your orientation schedule. And so so what I say to folks now is take a deep breath. We're here to walk you through all of those pieces. One of the great things about our program and the way we scaffolded it is that you're never walking this path alone. You've got the support of an orientation leader, you've got the support of Academic Services, our director of our first year experience, and our new student programs, and the Dean of Students Office and admissions. And so we're all working in concert together to make sure that this is as easy a transition and onboarding for you as possible. So and see, Sarah is typing the answer to the question about your advisor.
Yeah, but I've answered it a couple of times, so I'll run through it one more time.
Sure.
First, your schedules will be released towards the end of this week. We will send you an email with information and a video on how you access that. Yes, your UMW schedule will be sent to your UMW email address. That's why we want to make sure that you are checking it. Your housing assignment will also be sent to your UMW email address this week. Both of those things happen this week before orientation. So make sure that you have those passwords up to date. There was a question about advisors. Your initial advisor is actually your instructor for your first year seminar course. So whoever is instructing that course is your assigned advisor. Great thing about that, they see you 2 to 3 times a week. And if you're taking Dean Jones's class, you might be in with her 3 times a week. So keep that in mind that they're going to be seeing you regularly. They will also be the one that reaches out to you this summer and this summer to schedule that advising appointment in July. So towards the end of June, once orientation sessions are wrapping up, you will get an email to your UMW email address from your advisor that says, hey, let's go ahead and get this on the schedule. Okay. There was a question, are dorms assigned this week? Yes, housing is assigned this week. You should have that by mid to late week this week. At this point in time, yes, it is pretty late to be choosing your own roommate. If you want to send your admissions counselor a message, we can reach out to Residence Life and see if you've been assigned. But they were working on assignments today because I was talking to them. So you may be a little late to the game on that, but you can always send me a message and I'll see what we can do as part of that. So just keep that in mind, though. Those things are being released this week, towards the end of the week, not tomorrow, towards the end of the week.
And I will go ahead and jump in and answer the question about when is the last day to add a guest for orientation. And the answer is as soon as possible. I know that does not answer the question exactly, but we want to make sure that guests know that they are welcome and invited. And so you are free to still add your guests today, tomorrow. I would just say as soon as you know that your guests will be coming so that we can give the correct numbers to all of the people that we need to have updated so that we have appropriate seating and appropriate levels of food for everybody. So just let us know as soon as you know by registering your guest.
But we don't have a cutoff date for that. So we're not going to close that guest registration. It's just more so we know that we have everything we need to accommodate all of the guests. So and it's a lot easier. I'll tell you, just a pro tip. It's a lot easier to add that guest at home than it is to do it at check-in. Where there's all kinds of other things going on. So we just encourage you to do it in advance. And certainly, ideally, 48 hours is still cutting it a little bit close, but we totally understand life happens and suddenly you might have a little bit more time and suddenly you can be available and come on. We'd love to have you.
I did see a few questions under the answered and just wanted to bring that back up to talk out loud. And I apologize, Sarah, I'm going to throw this one over to you, but specifically about placement exams, I saw a few questions about those and just wanted to make sure we were talking about that out loud, specifically the chemistry assessment and foreign language assessment.
Yeah, those are both really good questions. Thanks, Leah. And I'm happy to talk about those. So with schedules being released this week, if you are a student that is planning on majoring in STEM, so any of the natural sciences, you should have already completed your chemistry placement, chemistry assessment exam. So not placement, assessment, because it will assess where you should begin by this point to have it gone ahead and built onto your schedule. If you have not completed it and you are planning on being pre-med or majoring in the natural sciences, you need to complete the chemistry assessment as soon as possible. That way, that when you have your conversation with your advisor in July, they have that information to be able to help you make that adjustment to your schedule. So you need to get those done sooner rather than later. I know some of you are still in the midst of senior year and finishing up exams and things like that, but just based on the timing of when our schedules are built for you all, those are going to be important. Now, for modern languages, for modern foreign languages, if you have taken 4 years of the same foreign language in high school, so through Spanish 4, through French 4, through German 4, etc., you will have met the requirements for the bachelor's degree, the requirement we have for the gen eds for foreign languages. If you have taken 2 years of Spanish and 2 years of French, you have not met that requirement. You are not required to take the language placement exam. You can be like me when I started at Mary Washington and said, I don't feel great about my level of preparedness of foreign language from high school to take the placement exam and not start back at the beginning. Starting back at 101 is okay. So if you don't feel confident in your level of proficiency to take the placement exam, you do not have to take it. If you took French in high school and you're like, nah, I don't want to do that, I want to switch over to Spanish, you can do that too. You won't need to take the foreign language placement exam. It is for students who maybe have taken Spanish 3, French 3, and they want to know where they should start the sequence. The requirement to graduate is through 201, so successful completion of 201, which means up to 3 semesters. The sequence is 101, 102, 201. So depending upon where you place, you could place into 201 and only have to take 1 semester, but it's all going to be based on that preparedness that you already have from high school. And hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. If you still have questions about that, feel free to reach out to your personal admissions counselor. Then we will be able to follow up and answer those questions. If I want to pursue a language from high school that is not provided at UMW, is there an alternative? Yes, there is an alternative for taking a foreign language that Mary Washington does not offer, and it's completing it with like the community colleges over the summer. We get this question often about American Sign Language. We do not offer American Sign Language, but it is accepted as transfer credit. So you would just take those courses over the summer through your local community college. So does it have to be 4 years of language in high school? What about entering high school with several years of language already? If they were counting it as high school level credit, then it will count. So if you took, say, Spanish 1 in 7th grade, Spanish 2 in 8th grade, and you only needed Spanish 3 and 4 in 9th and 10th, then yes, we would count that as long as your county is counting it as the high school credit.
And one of the things, just as a quick reminder, is that you can bring all of these questions to orientation, because on that day too, one of the things that will happen is you'll start off in a larger group. Dr. Wen will walk you through some of the things that you need to know about how the academic semester works here, what things count, et cetera, et cetera. Then you're going to break off into smaller groups based on your study, your field of study, what you might have said you're interested in, even if you're undeclared, we've got spaces for that. And that's going to be a space where you're actually going to be able to talk face-to-face in a smaller group with a faculty member around some of this as well. So you can not only start that conversation at orientation, you can continue that conversation during your July advising. And so that's one of those pieces that if you don't know it all right this red hot second, that's perfectly fine. It's a lot just to navigate, particularly if you are graduating high school, which just is a joyous and joyful time for that. But also trying to navigate a brand new system. And so totally understand that if you don't remember all the things, that's okay. That is literally what we are here for, to help you, to remind you of those things. And so please know that we don't expect anybody here to remember this fire hose of information that has come at you. A great resource if you just have any question is the orientation email, orientation@umw.edu. You can send the most random of questions that you have there. And there is no question that is a dumb question. We don't expect you to know all of these things. And we're happy to help you learn those pieces. So that's how you're going to access us at any time over the entire summer. Really, we're going to be on that email and checking it. So
there's another question here about dual enrollment credits that aren't world languages. If you have any dual enrollment credit, whether it's world languages from a community college or from a 4-year school, you will need to request that the official transcript from that institution is sent over to Mary Washington, so that we can go ahead and award you credit for those courses. It could be world languages, it could be history, it could be English 111 and 112 dual enrollment, any of those things. The registrar's office does need that official transcript to officially award you those credits. There's another chemistry assessment question. Historic preservation majors do not need to take the chemistry assessment. I was a pres major. I'm glad I didn't have to take the chemistry assessment exam as part of that. What else do you guys have for us? And do know your admissions counselors, we work throughout the summer too. So we are also here and available to you. Dean Jones mentioned that once already. We'll be here during orientation to be a smiling face and a friendly face that you guys know. But we'll also be working, we work hand in hand with the team at New Student Programs throughout the summer. So, and with your advisors and with academic services. So we are here to help.
And we have one more question about the chemistry assessment.
Computer science does not need to take it. If you are in the natural sciences, so biology, chemistry, and earth and environmental sciences, physics, if you're thinking about pre-med or pre-vet or pre-dental, those are all folks, any of the pre-professional health programs, those are the folks that need to take the chemistry assessment.
And I will go ahead and jump in and answer Journey's question. I love your name, by the way. But how to add a guest to orientation, you will do that through the same portal where you registered yourself. So you can just log into the same portal using your UMWNet ID and password and navigate back to the guest tab, and you'll be able to add someone there.
And you can find that on the orientation website. There's a button that says register for orientation. If you go and click that and log in, it'll take you right back to your actual registration. And so pretty easy to do, but if you run into issues, then shoot us an email. We're happy to walk you through it.
Absolutely. We do have about 7 minutes left of the presentation. So if you all would ask your final questions now, and while you all are thinking of that, I will share something that I'm very excited about. Super random, but we always have golf carts for orientation. I'm just so excited. I have to tell people about this. We always have golf carts for orientation to cart folks around for accessibility purposes, but we also use them for evening programming. We give golf cart tours, and this year we got golf carts with Bluetooth speakers in them, so we can listen to music while we go around doing golf cart tours. Super random thing. I'm just very excited about it, and I just thought if you needed something else to get excited about for orientation, that's what I'm looking forward to.
There was a quick question in there about final high school transcripts. We do ask that your final high school transcript is sent to admissions by July 1st. For my folks that haven't finished school yet and don't finish till mid-June, it's okay. Just get it to us as soon as you are able to. But we do ask that final high school transcripts are to us by July 1st.
And for this, for Marlo, can confirm golf cart tours are pretty awesome. They're a lot of fun. Everybody really enjoys them.
Yes, your high school counselors will send your final high school transcript, but typically you have to request it of them. They won't automatically send it unless you check that off on a form previously. So you want to make sure that you connect with your school counseling office to make sure that they send it to us.
I love this question. I wish. We all wish. I will tell you that our police, the question is, just so we're being clear, the question is, can we use golf carts during the school year? We rent the golf carts, and so I wish that I actually just had my own golf cart here. But our police do have golf carts, and so if what you're finding, let's say you break your ankle or something, hope nobody does that, but over the course of the year, if you find that I need a police escort or I need to be able to get from here to there quickly, our police will where they can, certainly if they're if they have the person power to do it, then they do offer that. So there is a question about meeting your advisors at orientation. Much of the July advising is largely with your advisor. Some of you, your advisor may be unavailable at that time, and so you might have an advisor from academic services. So you might meet your advisor during July orientation. Also, you might meet them in June, depending on who is teaching your first year seminar. If you're in my first year seminar, you will definitely meet me in June. I teach a first year seminar with Joanna Rossi, and so we'll both be around. So it just kind of depends on the faculty members' schedule. So as we move towards the close, we thank you all for being so participatory and engaged, and we hope it was really helpful for you. We cannot wait to welcome you to campus for orientation. If you have any questions, those questions might come up as soon as we log off. You might be like, oh, I meant to ask this. Again, please feel free to shoot us an email, orientation@umw.edu. For the question, which specific seminar do I teach? I teach leadership and social justice. First year seminar. I team teach with the associate director for our James Farmer Multicultural Center. It's a good class. We have a lot of fun. So we'll be enjoying that. And so I'm going to wrap us up. I know there are a couple of questions that are getting asked and answered in the chat right now, and so it may depend in terms of the hutch on the desk. That may depend.
I know for certain that Willard and Virginia have the boards on the back of them. Randolph and Mason have hutches, right? Or Randolph and Westmo have hutches.
I don't want to speak out of turn.
I know. So I know for a fact that Willard and Virginia have the bulletin boards on the back that have like a whiteboard and then like a pin board on the other side. And Randolph, I believe, has hutches. We would just have to double check on Westmoreland. But if you want to send that question to the Residence Life team, they will certainly be able to tell you.
And so there are a lot of people who are teaching a lot of different first year seminars, and it really just, there are a lot of different sections of first year seminars. So you can find out a little bit more about that specifically on at your orientation. Most of the desks, I will say, tend to have hutches on it, but it does depend a little bit on the building. My contact in Housing and Residence Life says, and so Westmo seems to be the question.
Yes.
No one seems to be able to remember. I feel like
they do, but I don't want to say that they do.
So, and again, don't forget, at 12:15 on your day 2, you actually, if you're assigned to Westmoreland, you actually can just go in and see. They'll be able to show you that. So thank you so much for your time, your energy, and we cannot wait to welcome you here.
We just got confirmation. Westmo does not have hutches on the desk. Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Excited to see you in June, or well, I guess it is June now. Oh my gosh. So excited to see you next week.
Bye, everybody.